Countering her, it's not that good because then it
Fantastic.
Yeah, it doesn't feel it's a bit of damage control rather than actually being able to dish out damage, which is what Yellow Submarine were lacking the first time around. But if you want to play against the Nature's Prophet, Storm Spirit, heroes with instant maneuverability, maybe even an Underlord, right? Because in game number 1, when OG were playing in the previous series, they brought out the Nature's Prophet. The other side brought in the Underlord. It was a carry Underlord, so I do think
didn't they also just get destroyed though?
They did, and I was getting to that. It was because they played a carry Underlord. And if you remember, OG also brought in the carry Underlord the last time we casted OG together. And both of those games didn't have that success. So I suppose if you do pick the Underlord for Yellow Submarine, it should be on the off-lane role.
Or the mid-lane role.
I don't want you to give any ideas as we're heading into the final days of CCT Series 4. Season 2, Series 4, but
I think the other way that you can try and fight back versus the Nature's Prophet is generally just by having a very hard hitting right click hero of your own. The Templar Assassin comes to mind. Shadow Fiend obviously already been banned up by Yellow Submarine. It's not a counter, but it is just making sure that you're not going to be destroyed by the good base attack time and everything that does come through. I find it very surprising to see the Medusa being banned out, despite the Prophet already being on the cards for Mouse, though.
It's a flex potential, right?
It is. They can play 1, 2, or 4. So
for Yellow Submarine, the Undying looks like such a strong pick right now. Very rarely do you already have a Naga Siren out and the Undying available for you. Because the Tombstone,
the Snapfire as well, so that, you remove that easy Tombstone killer.
Yeah, but the biggest thing about the Undying plus Naga is that in the Song of the Siren, if a Tombstone is out, the zombies continue to spawn, right? And when the Naga Siren stops singing, you'll have 4 to 5 zombies on top of you, and you will be unable to actually fight your way out of that one. And like you mentioned, Snapfire already out for Yellow Submarine, so for Mouse, they should pick the Undying, or they will be faced up against it potentially. I hope
it's all just a great hero to have, right? Even if you are a Nature's Prophet where you are now going to be forced to commit to showing all of your cores early on, Undying's just a good hero in this situation. The only problem is you don't want to pick it into the Snapfire, so you maybe can't at the same time. It's an offlane Primal Beast with a mid lane Leshrac and a carry Nature's Prophet. There is some flex between the Nature's Prophet and the Leshrac, but showing off all of their cards early on, I think they might want to go for a Chen pick, Touchless.
I think the Mouse should play a support Nature's Prophet with these 2 cores. Because the Leshrac, right, likes to run in with his Edict. If you have a support Nature's Prophet, you can go for the teleportation, sprout out the other side's mid laner or wherever you want to go, wherever the Leshrac is, and that will create a mechanism by which the Leshrac can come in. But Yellow Submarine respond by a very strong counter to that Leshrac. It is the Blade Mail wielding axe. So not only will you have the counter Helix, but that Blade Mail, when it comes out, will mean the Leshrac, he can't turn off his Edict. He can turn it on, but there's no button which enables him to turn it off. So if that Blade Mail comes about, he'll only have the choice to actually run back. At the same time, when you start running back T-time, you'll see Mortimers flying all over you. Ooh. Oh man,
I
really
fully
like this
agree with the Nature's Prophet support, to be honest, for Mouse, because, as much as you are saying that you can get those rotations out and whatnot as well, I just think that even now, it's a great draft from Yellow Submarine in terms of putting up a very strong offlane duo as well. But if you pair this Nature's Prophet with, something like a Shadow Shaman or so, which can actually have some serious defensive and kill potential, I just think you have a largely uncontested game. Yes, the Axe Skull will catch you out. Axe Skull catches anyone out, right? It's just one of those heroes that's very good at initiating on any carry. I don't think it's a specific counter to the Nature's Prophet. With the Templar Assassin coming in, though, you do pack quite a punch at the very least. So Yellow Submarine will not be lacking for damage
or initiation. I think I really like this draft from Yellow Submarine. Naga Siren is one of those heroes that actually does really well against a Leshrac, because then you have a twofold way to play about it, right? Initiation and counter initiation. You can pop the song and wait for the Edict to run out, and then you initiate, and then suddenly you're not going to have a lot of pure magical damage coming out from Mouse that you would have wanted to close out a lot of these kills. So it really feels like just for game number 2, Mouse are in a bit of a pickle, because despite of having such strong heroes by their side,
you know what, I wouldn't hate. Yeah, I was about to say I wouldn't hate the idea of not going for a fully DPS Leshrac. I didn't consider the support, to be honest. I was actually thinking maybe you don't go for the edict facet. Maybe you can go for the mana restoration facet, because just having that extra push potential with the amount of global presence that you are going to have with like a blink dagger on the primal beast as well, you got to kill, you know, you force the TA's map presence to shrink. TA doesn't have the same ability to be able to go into the enemy jungle and farm as maybe some other carries do. You don't really have a mid laner like a Storm Spirit so far either, which can try and take over the map in ways which you are forced to defend your own jungle as well. A Leshrac which is, you know, focused on, you know, edict damage onto towers, I wouldn't hate that personally. It's unlikely because you know that double edict is just so powerful, but I wouldn't hate it in my opinion.
The only problem is a support Leshrac doesn't actually survive very well against Yellow Submarine, right? To look at the damage coming out from the other side.
That's true. You could have a carry Leshrac as well, actually.
Yeah, we may see a carry Ember. I have seen it before. It worked out horribly, but I really don't
like an Ember. You know? I think Leshrac carry can make some sense, but you know, again, of course, less support isn't terrible either, and you have to keep in mind that less support, just a split earth is such a pain to deal with if you pick up the shard at 15 minutes, right? If you make that a big priority, and then these low range heroes like the Templar Assassin, like the Snapfire, if she's not just going for the Mortimer's Kisses, the Naga as well, they have a really hard time maneuvering in a team fight. I mean, there's an Ember Spirit who wants to have sustained team fights over time. The chaos that you can put in is really quite high.
I do wonder though what is going to be the mid laner for Yellow Submarine. Right, Mouse have actually banned out the Dragon Knight. I would have expected a ban on the Storm Spirit, because the Storm right now, I mean, you take a look at the lineup from Mouse, they don't exactly have a lot of disable. They have the Ember Searing Chains, but then they have a bit of unreliable stuns coming about, the Split Earth as well as the Primal Beast. And yeah, there we go. The Mouse
nothing too surprising
seem to have picked up on that potential weakness on their lineup. And the big question here now will be Yellow Submarine. They are expecting a carry, and it's going to be a Marcy to come out. Probably not going to be the carry.
No, they're not expecting a carry.
They banned out the last year.
Oh, sorry. Yes, in that way. Wait. Oh, sorry. My fault. Yes. I in my head, I'm thinking I'm not expecting a carry. Why would they be? And then, yeah. Sorry. This happens sometimes, guys. Slardar is the pickup though. Okay, so it's obviously very good versus the Ember Spirit and the Primal Beast especially. The issue is that versus the Ember Spirit, you're probably not going to be able to close the distance. That's more of the problem than the actual ability to finish him off. And there are some decent saves available over here for Celery's Marcy. It's also very good versus the Primal Beast, it does feel like as well though. So I'm confused about this though, which is that, is this going to be a mid lane Slardar? Like how does that sort of work out for you?
So the Slardar has a really good laning phase against the Ember Spirit, and the reason why that is because both of his abilities, the stun as well as the Bash of the Deep, his passive, are both sources of physical damage. So that means the Ember Spirit, the skilling up his Flame Guard doesn't actually do anything for him. He'll then have to go for the Sleight of Fist and Searing Chains combination, which is an aggressive build. But how do you play aggressive against a Slardar? You just don't, because you can't trade any hits out, right? So you force the Ember Spirit on the back foot, and then of course, in the mid game, you will have that Blink Dagger coming in. At the same time, though, I have seen a lot of mid Slardars. I haven't seen a lot of wins coming out from them. So because that's one of the reasons, or rather, not the reason, but I think both a hero like the Abaddon and a hero like the Slardar really scale too poorly. They fall off a cliff after the mid game, and they don't have any kind of a late game potential. I think that is going to be the one weakness that Mouse can potentially exploit. However,
the good thing is you have a lot of late game potential with the Axe and the Templar Assassin, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you get off to a snowballing start and disable the Nature's Prophet from being able to recover, if Slardar is able to get an early blink, then this could be a very quick game, and maybe it doesn't even go to the mid game in that scenario.
Do you go for an early blink on the Slardar, or do you try and build into a Harpoon? Because, you know, obviously, I'm taking a look at it, and he is going for the leg day facet as well. It's going to be a very fast Slardar at the very least, in terms of just being able to scale across the map. I do wonder, even if you want to make the Nature's Prophet your primary your primary priority, even if you can just focus down on getting kills across the rest of the map and maybe just trying to have the Templar Assassin be stacking up well against him in the late game instead of just being like, hey, we have to shut him down.
I think you need a blink. And the reason you need a blink is because the Axe in this scenario ideally wants to be going for a Blade Mill, and a Templar Assassin, of course, wants to be farming. So that leaves the Slardar to be the one to create space around the map, at least until the Axe is able to come in with his very own Blink Dagger. And then, of course, as a famous pro player once put it, multiple sources of initiation are the best. You need to make sure that your team at least has 2 sources of initiation. And for Yellow Submarine, in order to have that second source of initiation,
point of contention over here, you should expect to see Mouse try and make sure the Difference can't get those, because otherwise it will be a real problem. If Difference gets a 6 and 8 minute runes, I'm going to see a lot of kills coming out here.
And you even have the catch, right? The increased movement speed from the Slardar, and then you have a hero like the Naga Siren who can actually ensnare people and stop them from running away. It really seems like they're predators who can not only outrun their opponents, but also outmaneuver them. Although T-Time Difference is cut out right now, stuck between 3 heroes. He does have the stun, so will be able to disengage from that position, but he's going to be down to about half of his HP. But he will be able to regenerate back up. Let's see how well this Ember Spirit does over on the mid lane.
Does Copy have a better time in the earlier levels?
No.
No? Okay, so it's just bad all across.
Yeah. Until you're able to rotate away. But even then, it's not... I mean, you take a look at the HP of the Slardar, right? 700 to start off with. He doesn't have bad armor either. 5, he has the same armor as the Ember Spirit does. So these bashes, once they start coming out, the stun as well, it just does overall a bit too much to this Ember Spirit. All things considered, though... Ooh,
top lane Celery could be going down, but it is a pick-me-up. He'll be able to keep himself alive and as healthy as you can ask to be, I suppose.
This is a lane that should go in favor of Yellow Submarine. I mean, it's so aggressive. And the Marcy, in this kind of a scenario, despite having that dual aggressive defensive nature, is going to be stuck in a bit of a defensive pickle. Because he's going to need to be quick on his feet if he needs to be saving Tomato up, who is going to constantly take this harass.
Tomato's dead. Oh, no, never mind. Infernal already having used that Coin Blade to go back instead of trying to move forward into it. Tomato is going to be in a very difficult place in this lane. I'm still not sure about whether I agree with you on the Ember versus Slardar matchup being that one-sided, because Slardar also doesn't have any magical damage, so isn't the Flame Guard always going to do all the damage possible? Celery top lane, by the way, could be going down before we continue this conversation. He will be going down. Infernal be able to pick up that kill and his first set of blood for his coach.
They need to be careful not to give up too much over on their safe lane. Mouse can quickly find themselves really overwhelmed over on their top lane, and that will mean that consequently their mid lane and their safe lane is also going to suffer, because then the Ember Spirit is going to be forced to make those rotations. Leshrac is going to be forced to move up there as well. But in regard, I mean, the physical damage is just too much from Difference T-Time. It's so much that comes out.
Hado is not having a good time over here at all. He's got 3 last hits so far. Every time he goes forward, he feels like he's going to die. At the very least, he's able to find one response on the Celery. He'll TP back into the lane as well, but consistently you're just seeing how difficult this is going to be.
They were able to get the kill on the Axe, though. The thing about the Nature's Prophet is, if you are unable to take him down, he has 2 ways to teleport, right? He can teleport back to the fountain and actually teleport back into the lane as well. So that means it's a high-risk maneuver, but if the Nature's Prophet, for whatever reason, ends up surviving, then he's going to be significantly ahead. Because, sure, a lot of aggression from Yellow Submarine, but the Axe, for all the time he spends charging at you, is just going to be time that he can't actually secure his last hits with.
At the same time, Bottega is having a very good time in this bottom lane, and maybe not quite as good as the Slardar, so you do have something right about that. One difference, will be losing much of his life in terms of HP, but he's not giving up on any last hits at all. It feels like he's gotten basically all of them so far.
should hit his blink dagger timing nicely, assuming he's going for it. We still don't know, because the Echo Saber, like you mentioned, is a vital item for the Slaughter as well, so he may prioritize that. I do think it will depend on how the safe lane,
Top
or rather how
lane,
the
Infernal's
off lane
able to
does.
find Celery as well. Once again, a dive underneath the tower. That is deadly. Tomato continues to be struggling. Only 11 last hits, and they are still in pursuit of this Nature's Prophet on the top lane. That's where most of the action will be coming in.
The Nature's Prophet has a Gloves of Haste. That is what carries go for nowadays, but I would... I do find myself thinking if the Boots of Speed to be able to outrun the Axe would have been better.
What do you mean? The plus 20 attack speed to get all of those right clicks off that he's not getting. That sounds like it.
You do have Celery coming in with the Marcy, and this Slaughter is pretty low.
Well, I don't know how much you can do, though. Pretty low is still 500 HP, and Ember Spirit has damage over time, not necessary damage immediately. The dispose will have to be very good. The good thing is that Celery does have a, reasonably high level, so he's got himself maybe a bit more damage in that regards. But the call's been made, and now with the chain, Copy going in, Difference dodges it out. He's a bit too well aware, and in the meanwhile, backlines off that tier 1 tower, Tomato's been taken down. Trouble.
I mean, Yellow Submarine, they are more than happy to make an engagement on Tomato, but they know that position 5 isn't there, right? So it's an interesting decision to make Celery
Celery's gone.
mid lane.
Oh, Jantis started to rotate back over, but remember, this is going to be a little bit hard to pursue up onto Infernal. Infernal stays alive for a while longer with the Lotuses, and that might be enough. He's going to be able to run away with the extra movement speed off the phase boots.
Is it extra movement speed? Because Tomato doesn't have a boost to speed, or is it just regular movement speed because he doesn't have the boost to speed?
Well, I mean, phase boots also just give you extra movement speed in general, the active. So it's extra.
Double extra. That spells it out. But the power rune, T-Time, you mentioned Slaughter, 6-minute timing. You will be having a rune, but it's not going to be a good one.
It is the most useless one.
Yeah. I'd say the second most useless one. The invisibility would be the most useless one.
One bot lane, Bottega is trying to be a little bit of a survivor over here, but he found out he can fight back, and Difference leaping in will be a big factor in that.
It's not really working out, right? Because you can see the desperation from Mouse to try and make something happen at just about any lane they can find. So Celery's really all over the place, but unable to really do anything. And now it's going to be a Shrine of Wisdom contest. Yellow Submarine, they have a lot of damage here to contest this shrine.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Santa is in some trouble over here. He is going to be taken down. You can see Difference trying to make his way over. The Ember Spirit has rotated. A quick double man stun with a rebound, and with the teleportation in from the Nature's Prophet as well. The Shrine of Wisdom is not the only thing they're getting. It's also a quick kill onto the Templar Assassin. Difference backlines is trying to find a courier. He knows it's all about just getting what he can. He doesn't have a TP, so he's always going to be in a bad place. This is a huge win for Mouse.
This should have ensnared and brought the Leshrac in, but Yellow Submarine weren't able to close the gap, and nice recognition by Mouse. I mean, the distance the Leshrac was able to create allowed the Ember Spirit to come in, and they brought in the sufficient amount of numbers. If there wasn't an Ember Spirit there, that would have gone as far as to hold on to this game and not give too much away.
Structures are fortified.
8-minute power room now, though. Has a good enough rune. I mean, the Arcane rune, he should be able to rotate at least towards the bot lane. Ideally, they punish this Templar, because sure, Yellow Submarine lost out on the Shrine of Wisdom exchange, but the 3 cores over on their lineup are actually ahead of the 3 on Mouse.
And ahead by a lot. Axe is going to have his full blade mail in about 10 seconds or so. An 8-minute blade mail is almost as troubling as a potential kill on the Copy in this situation. Difference is certainly making that threat known.
And I didn't actually expect this. This is something that we didn't talk about. The corrosive hails coupled up with the shredder from Amorales just does so much.
And well, Bottega right now, he really wishes that he had someone to do so much around him. Tomato's doing a good job of getting himself involved in these critical kills. And this is always the thing about MOUZ with Celery at the helm. They're very coherent in this sort of 9 to 25 minute mark, even when they're behind.
And their ability to recover, right? That far behind is quickly going to turn into an equalizer, and then Timado may just be able to get out on top. Unless Yellow Submarine turn things around and are able to better protect their Templar. They are certainly choosing to pull in more resources that are available on the map, the safe resources, towards the Axe and towards the Slardar. But they can't continue at this pace. The Axe should be the one to replace Bottega for those safe farming spots.
Well, now it's going to be Celery who's initiated on initially. He's trying to move back, Boom, but Boom doesn't want to go back. He wants to go in, and for good reason. The damage is fantastic, but Jantis unable to close the distance, and Copy has to be the one to finish things off. Is there a split Earth over here to follow up? He waits for 2 to be on him. Great stun on both of them, but with the Axe and the Templar Assassin still bashing away, MOUZ will still end up losing out on 3. Nature's Prophet, though, does manage to get to safety.
That Sprout actually divided the river there, so the Yellow Submarine couldn't go in specific difference couldn't go in for the Corrosive Haze stun. But again, MOUZ being a bit too overzealous with trying to shut down Bottega. They didn't see Yellow Submarine coming in, and that was a very clean effort by Yellow Submarine. They didn't actually have to outplay MOUZ in that scenario. As long as you have the Axe and Slardar together, it's very difficult to get these kills.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Well, it's a lot easier when they're not together.
Yeah. That is, and when difference is very low on HP.